After giving up on the American dream, my husband and I moved from the US to Spain, and it was one of the best decisions we ever made. Now I run a relocation company that's helped dozens of American families do the same thing. So by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to expect when moving to Spain. We'll walk step by step through your visa options, the real cost of living, how to move with kids and pets, and the best cities in Spain for American families. By the end, you'll have a clear roadmap for your own move. Let's go! First of all, why move to Spain in the first place? If you're living in the US right now, you probably feel the same pressures we felt. The constant stress of work, hectic morning calls or meetings, always feeling behind, constantly running to keep up with bills, the skyrocketing healthcare costs, and the safety concerns when you worry about your children going to school or feel anxious when running errands in the downtown, having a fear of being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Now compare that with Spain. I'm not saying Spain is a perfect country with no flaws, but Spain offers so much more for American families who value safety, a slow-paced lifestyle, and peace of mind. Here you feel relaxed, no constant news stories about deportations, mass shootings, or assaults on the streets. Children walk to school on their own without any supervision. Families sit outside at cafes until 10 p.m. or even midnight in the summertime while their kids play safely at the playground nearby. Your money stretches further here, even when you factor in higher tax rates and social security contributions for public healthcare. And yes, you can get access to public healthcare here, unlike in the US where it barely exists. Spanish cities are walkable and bike-friendly with beautiful historic architecture all around. Cafes and restaurants are full of people, and you stay healthier and fitter simply because you don't need to jump in the car for every single errand. And of course, the food. The quality of fresh produce here is on another level. Spain is known as Europe's food basket, and for good reason. We rave to our family and friends about the fresh fruit, vegetables, and seafood, and how surprisingly affordable it is to dine out. Our clients tell us they feel safer, healthier, and happier in Spain, all with a lower cost of living and higher quality of life. So if those aren't enough reasons to move to Spain, I don't know what is. So what are the easiest ways to move to Spain as an American? There are two primary routes, the digital nomad visa and the non-lucrative visa. The digital nomad visa is for people who want to work remotely from Spain. You'll need to show an active remote work contract of 3 months working for a company that has been operating at least a year with income of about $3,300 or closer to $4,500 for a couple. The income has to come from the main applicant, but the big advantage is that your spouse can legally work in Spain. The best part of this visa is that you can avoid dealing with consulates and apply from inside Spain while visiting as a tourist. And approvals are fast, officially 20 business days. You're given 3 years of residency right away, and once you're registered as self-employed, you'll be paying into Social Security, which gives your whole family access to Spain's public healthcare system. The non-lucrative visa, on the other hand, is designed for retirees or anyone who can support themselves without working. That means no freelancing, no side gigs, and no remote job income. To qualify, you have to prove passive income like Social Security, pensions, rental income, or savings, around $35,000 per year for one person or $43,000 for a couple. The process is slower and more complicated since you have to apply through your local Spanish consulate in the US, and you only get 1 year of residency to start. Renewals require showing even more money, especially if you're relying on savings. And unlike the digital nomad visa, you'll need a private insurance and won't get access to free public healthcare on this visa. Both visas count toward long-term residency and citizenship, but the digital nomad visa gives working families a much faster, more flexible path. The non-lucrative visa is really only for Americans who are fully retired or living off passive income, who don't plan on working at all, and who are unable to qualify for the digital nomad visa. If you want to learn more about the requirements for the digital nomad visa and non-lucrative visa, you can download my free checklist in the description below. Once you know which visa you'll go with, you'll need to decide on which city you'll live in Spain. The most popular cities our clients are moving to in Spain nowadays are Valencia, Malaga, Madrid, and Marbella. Let's start with Valencia. I may be biased because I live in Valencia, but I truly believe Valencia is one of the best cities in Spain for families and remote professionals. And that's not just my opinion. The vast majority of our clients who we are helping to move to Spain are moving to Valencia. It's the #1 hotspot for remote professionals, and there are so many co-working cafes here with digital nomads from around the world. Couples move here to have a community of like-minded people while enjoying the stress-free, slow-paced lifestyle Valencia has to offer. It's also an amazing place for families with children, with lots of great private schools, parks, and a safe, family-friendly environment. Kids are very happy here, and it's a great place to raise a family. By the way, even though we help with the relocation to any part of Spain, Valencia is our specialty. So if you're planning on moving to Spain in the next 6 months and want professional help with the entire process, you can book a call with my team in the description below. Now let's talk about the capital of Spain, Madrid. Perhaps the biggest advantage of Madrid is its amazing infrastructure. You have direct flights to the US and almost anywhere in Europe. It has high-speed rail connections to almost every other major city in Spain. It has lots of parks, and it's quite safe, especially for a large capital city. However, it's more expensive than most other cities in Spain and quite hectic. So if you're looking for a relaxed, slow-paced lifestyle in Spain, Madrid might not be what you're looking for. Barcelona is also one of the most iconic cities in Spain, but nowadays prices for rent in Barcelona are crazy. There are also lots of protests against tourists in Barcelona, which can make it feel less welcoming for expats. And you have to be more careful of things like theft and pickpockets. But with that said, I do think it's one of the most beautiful cities in Spain. For a more unique or niche choice, some people move to the north of Spain, such as the Galicia region or Bilbao or Logroño. These are all beautiful areas, although keep in mind they don't have a big expat community, and it can get quite rainy in these parts of Spain as well. So it can be a bit harder to integrate if you don't speak fluent Spanish, and it doesn't have the Mediterranean vibe that many Americans find so appealing. Malaga is a great choice if you want to live right next to the beach, since it's built right near the coast. It's also surrounded by mountains, so if you're looking for nature and outdoor activities, it's a great choice. Plus, Malaga area still has reasonable prices for rent and for purchase. And finally, let's talk about Marbella, the most luxurious city in Spain. It's known for being the home of millionaires and billionaires. It's like the Hollywood Hills of Spain, but that comes at a cost. Prices in Marbella are high, and if you're looking for a more local feel, it can sometimes feel like you're in an artificial expat bubble with large, beautiful townhouses and golf courses everywhere. But that being said, there is a reason the elite choose Marbella. It's a beautiful city in the perfect location. Now let's talk about housing, schools, and pets. 3 of the biggest stress points for American families moving to Spain. The Spanish rental market works very differently than in the US. Most landlords want several months of rent upfront, and you'll often encounter scams on platforms like Idealista. On top of that, not every rental contract allows you to register your address for empadronamiento, which is essential because without empadronamiento, you can't complete your residency process. And if you're bringing pets, your options are even more limited since pet-friendly apartments are much harder to secure. This is where having someone on the ground who knows how to spot red flags and negotiate with landlords makes a huge difference. Keep in mind that you'll typically want to start with a short-term rental, especially if you're applying for the digital nomad visa within Spain, and then look for a long-term rental once your visa is approved. I recommend booking your short-term rental at least a month in advance, since the market is very competitive and good places get taken quickly. For families with kids, schooling often dictates the entire move timeline. International schools in Spain fill up quickly, with enrollment windows opening as early as January for the following September. If you wait until you arrive, you may find there are no spots left in your preferred school. Local Spanish schools are free and generally safe, but adjusting to full Spanish immersion can be overwhelming for kids at first. So most of our clients choose bilingual or international private schools to ease their transition. And then, of course, there are pets. Moving with pets requires USDA paperwork, rabies vaccines within a specific window, and an EU health certificate from an accredited vet. Airlines also have different rules depending on size and breed. It's absolutely doable. We've helped families bring dogs, cats, even multiple pets, but it requires planning everything in advance to avoid any last-minute issues at the airport. So between housing, schools, and pets, there are a lot of moving parts, and it's important to have a clear plan and plan everything in advance to make your move as smooth and stress-free as possible. Now let's talk about cost of living. It's no secret that prices in the US have skyrocketed in the recent years, and especially if you work remotely, there is no reason to live in an expensive city in the US where you pay far more for a much worse quality of life than you would have in Spain. This is another reason why so many Americans are moving to Spain. On average, the cost of living in most Spanish cities is about 40% lower than most American cities. Of course, this number can be a bit higher or lower depending on which city in Spain you're moving to and which city in the US you're moving from. But the point remains, your money goes much further in Spain than it does in the US. Even a solidly average US income is considered affluent in Spain. For example, if you make over 70,000 euros per year, you're already in the top 10 of earners here. In the US, you'll need to make more than $200,000 to reach the same bracket. This is called geo-arbitrage, and it can make you go from feeling like you're just scraping by in the US to feeling genuinely rich in Spain on the exact same income. That being said, after living in Spain for 183 days out of the year, you will become a tax resident here, which brings me to my next point: taxes. This is a common anxiety point for Americans, getting double taxed. The US is one of the only countries in the world that taxes you based on your citizenship, not your place of residence, which means you're obligated to still file taxes in the US even if you are living in Spain. But the good news is that the US and Spain have a tax treaty to prevent double taxation. As an American, you'll still need to file in the US, but you can use two key tools: the foreign earned income exclusion, which allows you to exclude about 126,500 of foreign income, and the foreign tax credit that lets you offset the US taxes with the taxes you've already paid in Spain. Since Spain's tax rates are typically higher, most Americans reduce their US tax bill to zero. And on the topic of higher taxes in Spain, let's talk about that. A lot of Americans are scared of how much they'll pay in taxes in Spain. And I understand this because this is something we were afraid of too when my husband and I were first considering moving to Spain from the US. But After looking into it carefully, we realized it's not as big of a deal as most people make it out to be. First of all, let's be honest, the US itself is not a low-tax country. Americans still pay a lot in taxes, especially if you are a self-employed contractor or business owner. You know what I'm talking about. That being said, the tax brackets in Spain are a bit higher than in the US. And if you're self-employed, you will require to make monthly payments into the Spanish social security system. But this comes with the added benefit that you'll get access to free public healthcare in Spain for you, your spouse, and your children, which I know is a novel concept in the US, the idea of free public healthcare, but it actually exists here. Healthcare and health insurance alone is far more expensive in the US. And when you factor in the 40% lower cost of living in Spain that I talked about earlier, your money still goes a lot further in Spain, even when you account for the somewhat higher tax brackets. So if you've been worried about the taxes you'll pay in Spain as an American, I hope this gives you a bit more peace of mind, knowing that it's not as bad as you think once you take all this into account. As you can see, there is a lot that goes into moving to Spain from the United States, but it is possible. We've done it, dozens of our clients have done it, and with the right plan, you can do it too. And if you're dreaming of a happier, healthier, and safer life in Europe, then moving to Spain might be one of the smartest decisions you can make for your family. So if you're serious about making this move in the next 6 months and want expert guidance every step of the way, we'd love to help you create a custom relocation plan for your family. You can book a free consultation with my team using the link in the description below. We handle everything from getting your visa to securing your ideal apartment, enrolling your kids in the right schools, moving your pets, and guiding you through the entire process. And if you want to learn more about the visa requirements, make sure to download my free digital nomad visa checklist or non-lucrative visa checklist, depending on which one you're thinking of going with, so you can see exactly which documents you will need. The links are also in the description. And if you're wondering what to watch next, click here to check out another video I made about the 5 best family-friendly neighborhoods in Valencia. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week. Hasta pronto!